Good morning. Yes, it is Tuesday, and you're with George at Growth Point, growing as you're going through life. Yes, and our theme for this year is back to God, and our scripture. It's the entire chapter of Psalm 91 that I want you to hold on to, that I want you to read through, because again, I believe that as we've come through and we've reached Gilgal, remember we spoke about that yesterday, and as we are now focused on what? We are focused on Jericho, because your Jericho awaits you. Well, I want to say again, there are going to be many battles. Now, let me tell you, our entire Christianity walk is a battle. We are constantly in a battle, in a spiritual battle. Why? The enemy wants to drop you. That's what he wants to do. He wants you to fall. He wants you to crumble. He wants you to crumble under all the pressures of the world. This is why there is so much pressure in the world today. Why? Because again, the enemy wants you to take your focus off of God and place it upon the problems around you. And again, this is what happened. Remember this, that Jericho was a built up city. It was a stronghold. It's one of the strongest cities that was built, and they were going to encounter the first problem that they were going to encounter into this. The promised land that God had promised them was going to be gigantic, and the only one that could pull that off was God. I want to tell you, the only one that's going to help you through this year of 2024 is God. That is why we need to come back to God. Now, if you have come through 2023 thinking that you've won battles, those battles that you've come through is, man, that's child's play into that what you are going to encounter. Why am I saying? You're saying you sound like a prophet of doom. No. I want you to get back to reality. The world is crumbling all around us. There's darkness all around us. There is sin all around us, and sin is increasing as we are looking at what is happening in the world today. We see that it's increasing, and we're saying, God, how are we going to get through this darkness? Well, the only way that we're going to get through this darkness if we are willing to come back to God. Now again, I need to tell you that after Gilgal, after there's a cutting away, after you've spent time in the presence of God, there is a Jericho awaiting you. But the one good thing about Jericho is this, and this is what I want you to keep in mind for 2024. God fought on behalf of those who marched around the walls of Jericho. but they had to be active in this, listening to what God was saying, God giving him the direction of what to do. They were obedient to that, the voice of God, through Joshua, who said, I want you to march around the city. And as we do, let me tell you, God's going to do the miraculous. So as you begin to see your Jericho ahead of you, remember, there's a time coming that you're going to march around it. And as you begin to march around it, you know what's going to happen? The foundations are going to grow weaker. And as the foundations of your Jericho grow weaker, there's going to come a time where God says, it's now time to blow that trumpet. Now it's time to let go and give God a shout. It's now time to hand over to God, and we know those walls will crumble. You might feel that your wilderness was tough. The crossing of the Jordan was a nightmare. But you know what? You're into a new year, and I want you to come back to God. I want you to give God all that your life obtains. Everything about you needs to be handed over to God. The only way that you are going to experience the move of God in your life is when you begin to hand all over to God. Your job, your children, come on. Those things that wake you up at night, I want you to hand them back over to God. Now listen to this. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8 says, it is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. Do not fear. Do not tremble. Do not allow the enemy to infiltrate into your heart with fear. And let me tell you, there is much to be fearful about as we look into what is coming our way. But if you focus upon that, what is coming your way, then you're going to miss God. So your focus needs to be back on God. Now, God promise made to his covenant people that he will always be there to watch over them. This is why I feel God has given me the Psalm 91. now again becomes our bomb shelter. This is what Psalm 91 is. It is a bomb shelter, is where we draw into God and know that God is there for us. I want you to read it through. Go, take that. And every single day for this year, if you can just read through Psalm 91, you're going to become victorious and you're going to come out strong on the other side. You see, when you come under the protection of God, God brings you into his secret place. Notice that it's a secret place. The devil cannot find it. Why? Because it's a secret place there in God. You again are protected from that, the temptations of the enemy. Yes, when we move out from under God again, we know that those temptations are there around us, but we know who we can run to, because there in God we find his secret place. Now, Gilgal was God's secret place from the enemy. Notice that it was there that God again brought Israel and again showed them exactly that they needed to put their faith and their trust in him. And what does he do? He circumcises them in the face of their enemy. Now again, it's time for you and I to come back to God.